Welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about for loops. You know, humans get bored doing repetitive things, but computers don't. They can do the same thing over and over and over again. You can make them do it using a few constructs, and one of them is the for loop. Let's recap what to iterate means. It means to go through each element of a sequence and perform an action on it. Now, do you remember that we discussed two types of iterations? Infinite iteration and definite iteration? Yes, right? For loops are a form of definite iterations. Let's learn it via a few examples. Imagine you want to go over a string of letters and print them each separately. You can do that using a for loop. In this piece of code we iterate, that is, go through each letter of the string hello world and print the letter, the loop automatically ends when it reaches the end of the string. For loops are very useful when you want to go over a list or string and check its elements one by one. If you look at the for loop's syntax, you'll see one part is a sequence, that list or string that you want to go over. There's another part, the temporary variable in which the for loop puts the value of each element. In our example, hello world is the sequence, and letter is the temporary variable. You need to know one important thing though. This temporary variable can only be used inside the loop. If you try to access it outside the loop, you will not be able to get any information. This is because the temporary variable exists only in context of the for loop, and outside the loop, it has no value. In this example, printing I inside the loop will give you an error. Got it? Great. Let's move on and learn a bit more about the sequence part of the for loop. Sequences can be a list of elements or a string of letters. Now, you would ask, if I have to use a for loop over a sequence of numbers, how exactly do I do that? To help you with that, in Python, sequences can also be created using range, a very handy way to give us numbers between a range. Range function provides a very useful shortcut when you want to count from 0 to a specified number, say x. You simply need to pass x in the range function. Let's see an example. This loop range function starts with 0 and starts putting values one by one in num. Since the range is set to 5, looping stops when the counting reaches 5. Do you remember? 5 won't be printed. Range function has a better variant that gives you more control about the ranges. You can choose the number you want counting to start from, the number you want to end counting, and also the count by number. This is the interval between each element in the sequence. We specify the start number, 0, end number, 5, and the count by or interval of 1. By using these parameters, we can create a lot of interesting use cases. As an example, consider if we want to print all even numbers from 24 to 100. We can do so very quickly. Hey, a question for you. Do you know why the end variable is 101 and not 100? Yeah, you guessed it correct. To create a range that includes 100, we have to specify the end variable as 101. I hope you have a fair idea about for loops now. You know, for loops can have other for loops inside them. These are called nested for loops. The first loop, that is the one that is outside, is called the outer loop. And the second one that is inside is called, yeah, you guessed it correctly, the inner loop. For every element of the outer loop, the inner loop completes its full loop. Let's learn using an example. In this case, x from the outer loop will be 0, 1, and 2, and y will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Do you know how many times hello has been printed? Here's the catch. For each of x values, the inner loop will run in full, essentially printing hello 12 times. That is 3 multiplied by 4. If it's not clear, try this example yourself with different x and y values. I'm sure you'll understand it really quickly. I'll see you next time.